I like to throw stuff like that in practice, and I like to imagine like a walk-off KO, and because I'm a wrestler, so I always think like, you know, I'm gonna win, and the crowd's gonna go wild, and you know, I kind of get yelled at sometimes, like, dude, you're throwing wild stuff, stop doing it. But in this case, it kind of, you know, worked out for me, so I'm happy about it.
Take us through that. I mean, what does that feel like to get a finish like that in your first pro fight? We saw you jump on the cage, but what's going through your head at that time?
I mean, I've never knocked, well, I guess I've knocked people out, but I've never knocked anyone out just standing up, so I kind of froze for a second. I didn't know whether to hit him or not once he hit the ground, and then I was like, oh, damn, I just won. And then it all registered. I was like, oh, the fight's over. I got all my teeth, so I was real happy about that.
I mean, you did go over and kind of kneel. I mean, he was down for a couple minutes. I mean,
yeah.
Was there concern there that, oh, man, like this guy's seriously hurt? I mean, that's not a knee, the kind of knee we see very often.
I knew he was out before he hit the ground, so it concerned me a little bit. But I saw him move for a second, so I was like, all right, you can celebrate. Like, you know, it's a sport that you're bound to get hurt in, and it was just my night tonight, and you know, he ended up on the wrong end of a flying knee.
How much do you practice that in practice? How many times have you gone through that and envisioned that? And
I warm up with it. You know, I warm up with a punch and combination to some type of flying knee or some type of crazy kick. And you know, my partners, Carrington Banks usually, or Yuri Villafort, they're like, bro, calm down. Like, you know, they give me that calm down look, like you don't know how to control, because a lot of the tricks that I throw and a lot of the moves that I hit, half the time I really don't know how to control it. Like, I almost went over his head. So, you know, it's fun to warm up with it, though. I tell you that much. It keeps the guys off me when we're sparring, and I love that.
Have you got other things in the kit bag then, like that we haven't seen yet, like the Pettis kick and all those kind of things, the Showtime kick, and you got all of those?
You have I know nothing jumping off the cage, but a lot of my setups are they end in crazy ways with crazy moves and crazy finishes. You know, I'm a setup guy. Neil Melanson has taught me to blend every single thing. So everybody's so worried about my wrestling, they have no idea that I don't have to wrestle. You know, we don't have to go 3 rounds. We can stand and bang, and you're going to be on the losing end of it 9 times out of 10 because you have no idea what I'm going to throw.
From what you're saying, it sounds like you might have ended up as an acrobat in a circus, for goodness sake.
I'll try. Hey, if they pay good, Bellator, I got a peace out. I'll see y'all later. If they, you know, they paying good money. But no, a lot of the things that I do are acrobatic, and it comes natural. I'm a natural athlete. And so my coaches, you know, they have to hone that and say, hey, you know, let's be technicians. And that's what I have Neil Melanson for. He's a great technician. You know, you don't meet too many guys that's that big, and he's a big technician. And he's like, hey, you know, I love your flash, and I love, you know, all the risks you take, but let's reel it in. So that's good. You know, you saw that at the beginning of the fight with just the jabs. You know, he's like, jab, lower your level changes. But the whole time I'm thinking, do something crazy. Like, the whole time in my head, I'm like, yeah, let's fight, like, let's brawl. And it helps that he hones that in. You know, he makes me an actual fighter, and you know, instead of just a brawler, which, you know, it worked out really well tonight, so I'm happy.
It looks like you're going to be moved on fairly quickly with the skills you've got already. I mean, how quickly can you move up? And I mean, you've just made your debut, but how ambitious are you? How quickly?
I'll fight anybody, anytime, anywhere. You know, when I started fighting, I had a rough year and a half. You know, I've only been fighting for, you know, seriously fighting for 2 years, maybe a little bit over 2 years. But I was thrown into the Black Zillions room, which, you know, I'm sparring Robin Van Roseman my second week there, and he's just beating the crap out of me. So it's like, you know, I have no fear. When I step in the cage, you know, I'm completely relaxed, I'm calm, because I've seen it all. You know, I've sparred great kickboxers, you know, world-class BJJ guys. So when it comes, and I'm confident in my wrestling, so when it comes down to it, whoever Bellator says, you're gonna fight him next, if it's next week, I'll go fight next week. Like, I'm literally okay with fighting at any time, at any moment, any weight class except for heavyweight or light heavyweight, because Linton beats me up in the house, and, you know, I don't want to take that chance in the actual cage.
Surely before this fight, you took a look at, you know, the roster and said, oh, when I win this fight, here's kind of where I might stand. What are some of the names that, you get to throw a name out there? These guys are listening, right?
I was thinking, I wanted to fight Gallagher just because he has such a huge following, but I think he's hurt. So whoever they give me next is, you know, who I'm going to fight. To be honest, I think I'm going to be the next star in Bellator. So, in the featherweight division. So whoever they give me, it's going to be a rough night for them, and I'll take on whoever they give me at any time.
You're a huge featherweight. How do you make the weight? Is it a struggle at all?
Dude, I was eating Snickers 2 nights ago, so it ain't that bad. It's not that bad of a cut.
You're
I could
annoying.
be a 35-pounder.
How do you do that?
I could be a 35-pounder,
Wow,
honestly.
wow.
I walk around 160, 161. And I just choose not to cut that much weight. My chest is huge, so it looks like I'm big, you know, but I'm not really that big. But, you know, I think I can make 35, but it's not something that I would be interested in doing. My first couple fights were higher. I fought 55. I fought 70 one time. And so it's just kind of, this is the weight that where I train at. It's an easy cut for me, so I figured I'd just stay here if I'm going to be fighting for the next however long. You know, I want to be in the same weight class for a while.
When you knew you were coming to Bellator, didn't we hear you mention Aaron Pico's name? But is that gone by the wayside then?
Look, the thing with Pico is you send a man tampons to his gym and he doesn't respond. You can't say too much more because then you become a bully. I'm not big on being a bully. So I kind of backed off the Aaron Pico situation, and if he ever wants to fight and, you know, prove his manhood, then hey, let's do it. If he doesn't want to fight, I'm not going to pressure him to fight me. It kind of is what it is with him. You know, I just thought that he was getting the hype, and I told him that was my hype and I was going to take it, and then at night I came and took it.
Just tell us a little bit about that background. That you know, obviously, as you say, you've come from wrestling. Did you know you were going to be an MMA fighter eventually? Then, from a few years back.
I dabbled in MMA a little bit, but for me, it was I'm an emotional guy, man, and it was an emotional decision. What was supposed to be my senior year, 2 days before the season started, the NCAA contacted me and told me I was ineligible, and it was because I transferred from a Division II school. And I wrestled 2 tournaments, literally 2 tournaments I wrestled, and they took the entire year away from me. So my coaches was like, you know, they set me down, hey man, you can't wrestle anymore, blah, blah, blah. And so I said, hey, kind of give me my degree. And at that time, the second that news came out, Greg Jones, who was the wrestling coach of the Black Zillions, hit me up and he was like, yo, you want to come down? And this was on Twitter. I was like, oh, this is a little sketch. But, you know, I was like, yeah, I'll come down and try. And I came down, everybody was nice to me, and I was like, yeah, man, this is awesome. You know, I'm taking these guys down. Their stand-up isn't that great. And then, you know, you pack up your Ford station wagon with holes in the bottom of it, and you move down there, and everybody's beating the shit out of you for, you know, a year and a half, 2 years in it. And it kind of just transformed. At first, when I was fighting, I was thinking, like, I need something to do other than wrestling. And then now it turned into, like, I'm such a competitor that, like, man, I cannot not go back and let these guys just get the better of me. Like, it's not in me to let somebody just get the better of me. So I had to raise my level to those guys' level, and then eventually I started fighting for fighting and not fighting because I wasn't wrestling. So.
But you finished your degree, yeah?
Absolutely, got a degree in healthcare and marketing.
Good.
So
yeah.
the marketing part paid off just a little bit, I think.
Sir, that knee looks extremely comfortable. Extremely comfortable. You did very well. What are you training to be that comfortable throwing that particular high risk of a knee?
What am I training?
Like, what drill do you go through to get that comfortable throwing a knee like that?
It's a lot of just playing. So when we warm up, we play, and so that allows me to be creative. And I had to try to get something different than a lot of the times I would push a guy to the cage and then take him down. I was like, oh, well, let me try this, you know. So I started pushing guys to the cage and then kneeing them. And then eventually it just got to the point where I was in the opening. I was like, oh, let me see if I can knee this guy in the head. So, you know, it kind of just transformed as I, you know, grew a little bit as a fighter.
1 or 2 more, guys.
This fight's getting a lot of attention on social media right now. Are you kind of a low-key guy, or are you looking forward to the fame?
Oh, I want the fame. Bring me the fame. Look, with the fame
Look at him,
come the
he's not
money.
low-key.
Bring me the fame. No, man.
But you're enjoying it, though. It's going to be an enjoyable ride with you for us, isn't it?
It really will
Yeah,
be. You have no idea.
You can tell. Yeah. No, it's brilliant. It's
Yeah,
brilliant.
it's going to be a great time.
What a beginning, you know.
What do you have to say to the rest of the division right here?
It's over. It's over. Grab the shovel, dig your own grave, 'cause I'm coming for you.
There we go.
Brilliant.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.